What's up guys, I'm Dan from The New Travel, and today I'm going to be teaching you 10 things you should know before visiting Costa Rica. Let's go.
On and on to the break of dawn. On and on to the break of dawn. On and on to the break of dawn.
Now one thing you're not going to need for today's video is your typical outdated guidebook. Because I don't like to just repeat what other people have said before me. I like to give you fresh content based on my own experiences. So that's what you're getting today. Let's get right to it with number 1. Pura Vida. Have you guys heard that expression before? If you have, you've probably been to Costa Rica, or you might have a Tico friend. Pura Vida, as I sometimes mispronounce it, is an expression which just means pure life. And it's something that Costa Ricans say that almost doesn't have a direct translation, because you can use it in so many different occasions. You can say it as a way of saying hello, or goodbye, or how's it going? Oh, Pura Vida, you know, I have no complaints. Life is good, life is pure.
That's mean pure life.
Pure life.
Pure life is pura vida. Pura is pure, and life is vida.
It just kind of epitomizes, I'm showing you my money, that's a spoiler. But it just kind of epitomizes the laid-back nature of the Costa Ricans.
Nice to meet you guys.
Hey, muchas
God bless
gracias.
you, everybody.
Pura Vida, life is good, you know? Costa Ricans accept 2 different currencies, US dollars and Costa Rican colones. Now I highly recommend taking out the colones if for no other reason than they've got cool looking animals on them. You also get to feel rich when you're going to the ATM and you're taking out thousands and thousands of something instead of like 20, which you would do back home. But speaking of 20s, 20 US dollars is approximately the equivalent of 10,000 Costa Rican colones. So to do a super rough translation in your head, just think 500 equals 1. No, you know, 500 equals 1, yeah. But the most important thing to know is that both are widely accepted wherever you go, so you won't have any problems if you only have US cash. Number 3, locals in Costa Rica wake up early. And if you've ever been to Latin America, you know why they wake up early, because it is hot as hell. So you may as well beat a bit of that afternoon heat if you can. Or if you're here in the rainy season like I am right now, it rains almost every afternoon. But the mornings are still nice and sunny. So if you want to get stuff done, you just wake up early. I mean, today I woke up at like 7:30. That's actually late by Costa Rican standards. A lot of locals wake up at like 5. At least they seem to. I just know that whenever I wake up, like the day has already begun before I ever wake up. So try to wake up early if you can. I know it's a struggle. Just do your best. Okay, number 4. Tipping is not expected in Costa Rica. If you go to like a touristy place, you're going to see that a service charge has already been added to your bill. Usually a 10% service charge. In fact, sometimes you'll see 10% service charge and 13% tax, which means that your bill is almost 25% higher than it would be without those prices. So places like that, the tip has already been included, there's no need to tip. If you go to a very local place, like a soda restaurant, the price you see will probably be the final price. You can check out my recent video at a soda restaurant if you want to know more about local food. But for this reason alone, local restaurants are really a much better deal than some of the more touristy places. Tip your tour guides and stuff like that, but don't be shy about just paying what the bill says when you're at a restaurant. Let me just check my little list. Okay, sunscreen, number 5. For those of you of the paler complexion, kind of like me, you're gonna want to bring some sunscreen because the sun down here is hot. And if possible, get some sunscreen from whatever country you're coming from. Pack it in your bag. You will not regret that decision at all. Because sunscreen down here is overpriced. It's just something that only tourists use. Locals don't really use it. So you're paying a premium. So that's one item in particular that I'd recommend getting before you arrive in Costa Rica. Alright, number 6. Generally speaking, as a traveler, I don't like drinking tap water that tastes funny because I've got violently ill. I mean, like in countries like Guatemala, I don't even brush my teeth with the tap water. which might make you think that Costa Rica is the same because it's right in Central America. But the fact is, Costa Rica has very clean tap water. The locals drink it, I drink it, everyone drinks it. It just tastes a bit funny. It tastes a bit different than back home because they add high amounts of chlorine to the water. Buy bottles if the taste bothers you or if you see the need, but be aware that in a pinch, tap water is not going to harm you at all, and you're going to save some money. Alright, so number 7 is going to be visas. Now, a little kind of asterisk in the corner here. Of course, I do not work with your local embassy and I cannot give you the most up-to-date information. But as a Canadian, as of late 2017, we can get 90 days visa-free, and the same can be said about Americans. And as far as I know, the same can be said about a lot of countries, because my girlfriend's Korean and she also gets 90 days visa-free. So what that means is you can just book your flight and arrive, and yeah, you don't need to do any more prep. Except for one little thing, one more asterisk. You need to have an outgoing flight. And this is actually a pain in the butt. I wish this wasn't the case. But as of today, you need a flight out of Costa Rica in the next 90 days. And that's to prevent people from overstaying their visas. A lot of expats like to just kind of like fly here and never leave. So that's why they do that. Now there are workarounds, like you can try and get tricky and book a refundable ticket and just use it to get into the country and then get that ticket refunded. Just be extra careful. Like, you're kind of playing with fire when you do stuff like that. So I would highly recommend, if possible, that you just book your ticket out of Costa Rica within the 90 days and play it safe. Costa Ricans are pretty laid back, so if you didn't have your ticket, you're not going to be in a huge trouble, but worst case scenario, you'd probably be stuck there in the airport having to buy another ticket. And yeah, that's not a fun position to be in, so just be prepared. Speaking of be prepared, I should have been prepared to find number 8, which is, oh yeah, the cost of living. So here's the deal. You might have heard before that Costa Rica is actually the most expensive country in Latin America. It's true. I wish it wasn't, but it's true. A lot of the meals that I eat out here are actually comparable in price to what I was eating back home in Vancouver, Canada. And Vancouver's not a cheap city either. So you might have to budget a bit more than you expected for your trip to Costa Rica. That's just a reality. If you're a backpacker, if you're on a budget, I'm not saying to skip Costa Rica, but I'm not saying it's the most affordable place either, because that would be lying to you. My number 1 tip for affordability would be to eat at the local soda restaurants that I mentioned before, because they're cheap, they're delicious, and you know what? You're supporting the local economy. So what's not to like? Now, if number 8 has you a bit bummed out, here's something that puts a smile back on your face. Number 9, internet. The internet in Costa Rica has been fantastic. As someone who makes YouTube videos and uploads them all the time, internet's a big deal. And I was worried. I thought, like, can I even get my videos up from Costa Rica? But here's the reality as of 2017. Costa Rica has extensively added fiber optic cables and stuff like that. I'm not an expert about any of that stuff, but all I know is they've done major restructuring to their infrastructure, and the internet here is great. Like, I get better upload speeds than I did back home in Canada, not just at my own place, but consistently, like, almost anywhere I go. So any coffee shop, any hostel, any hotel tends to have great internet. And finally, number 10, healthcare. Now let's say the worst happens. You never want to think about this, but if the worst happens and you get in an accident or something and you need to go to a Costa Rican hospital, here's a couple things to know. Costa Rica has universal healthcare. That means healthcare is free for Costa Ricans. How cool is that? But as a visitor to this country, it's not going to be free for you. When I arrived with my girlfriend, she had some stomach pains that got progressively worse for a couple of days. And we went to a clinic to get her checked out, and they wanted $70 US for the visit, just for the quick consultation. That seemed very high. That seemed higher than what I'd even be paying back home in Canada. So we went to the pharmacy instead, we got some pills, and thankfully she was okay. So that's my only direct experience with the healthcare system. But I can tell you this, because I've spoken to some expats who have lived here for like 5 or 10 or 15 years. The hospitals here are very good. They're generally affordable, at least by American standards. It's nothing like that. But if you're far from San Jose, the capital, if you're like in some small little town, you might have to get to San Jose. That would be the problem, getting to the nearest hospital. But as a traveler, you probably want some travel insurance. I mean, myself, I argue with my dad all the time about this. He's always saying I need travel insurance. I'm always saying it's kind of a rip-off and it's not worth it. But as I sit down, like, the reality is, it's better to be safe than sorry. And yeah, that's it. Those are my 10 tips for anyone who's going to be traveling to Costa Rica. I could go on. If you guys want to hear more of my tips and my advice, I could make a part 2 to this. But I think this gives you a great beginner's guide to the country. Costa Rica is a fascinating place. Like I said, it has its downsides, like the cost of living. Everyone likes to complain about that. But there's something special about this place. And the locals are so friendly. I mean, I know I talked a bit about Pura Vida, but that really is the Costa Rican spirit summed up in 2 words. It's about that pure life. It's about being friendly. It's about being energetic. It's about enjoying life. So if you want to enjoy your life, come on down to Costa Rica. I hope you've enjoyed the last few minutes of your life as you watch this video. As always, I'm Dan from The New Travel, hanging out in an empty room with some turtles, making videos that some people might like. If you're one of those people, maybe you hit that subscribe button and maybe you stay around for some more videos. I don't know, man. You gotta live your life. I'm gonna go live my life. As always, guys, have a great day. I'm Dan from The New Travel. Costa Rica, Costa Rica, Costa Rica, Costa Rica.